The smartphone world is a battlefield, isn't it? Giants clash, prices soar, and every year we're promised the next big thing. But what if the real innovation isn't just about packing in every conceivable bell and whistle, but about delivering an incredible experience without emptying your wallet? Today, we're diving deep into a device that's aiming to do just that, the Honor 400 Pro. Is it a true flagship killer? Or something a little more cunning? This isn't just another phone review. We're going to explore what makes the Honor 400 Pro tick, where it shines, where it stumbles, and ultimately, if it's the smart choice for you in this crowded market. So grab a drink, settle in, because we've got a lot to cover. All right, let's get the big question out of the way first, the price. The Honor 400 Pro lands in the UK at £699.99. Now, that's an interesting spot. It's not quite in the nosebleed territory of the ultra-premium flagships, but it's certainly a step above your typical mid-ranger. Think of it as playing in that increasingly popular, affordable flagship league. For context, this positions it comfortably above phones like the Google Pixel 9a or the Samsung Galaxy A56, which hover around the £500 mark. But it ducks just under the £800 price point of big hitters like the standard Google Pixel 9 or the Samsung Galaxy S25. So Honor is clearly targeting a specific kind of buyer here, someone who wants a taste of the high life, the premium features, without necessarily taking out a second mortgage. Globally launched on May 22, 2025, alongside its sibling, the Honor 400. It's important to note for our viewers in the US and Australia, official availability isn't on the cards right now, which is pretty standard for Honor. This pricing strategy puts it squarely in competition with devices like the OnePlus 13R and the Samsung Galaxy S24 FE phones that also try to balance top-tier specs with a more palatable price. It's a delicate dance, and Honor is stepping confidently onto the floor. Does it have the moves? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Let's talk about what you see and feel. When you pick up the Honor 400 Pro, there's an undeniable sense of quality. We're talking flagship-grade materials here. You've got this beautifully silky matte glass back that feels fantastic. No more constant fingerprint wiping, which is a huge plus. This curves gently into an aluminum frame, giving it a comfortable, rounded profile in the hand. Now, the camera module. It's certainly a statement. Honor has ditched the design from the 200 Pro and gone for what the original review playfully called a, quote, tripercle, a sort of rounded trapezium. It's unorthodox, a bit wonky looking if you're used to perfect symmetry, but I have to say, it grows on you. It gives the phone a distinct personality in a sea of increasingly similar-looking devices. Despite those curves helping to disguise its size, this is a fairly substantial phone. We're looking at 8.1 millimeters thick and a weight of 205 grams. It's not a featherweight, but it feels solid, reassuringly dense. It's heavier than its non-Pro sibling, the Honor 400, by a noticeable margin, but that often comes with a more premium build. A huge win for the Honor 400 Pro is its IP rating. We're getting both IP68 and IP69 dust and water resistance. That's a significant upgrade from the IP65 on its predecessor, and puts it right up there with, and even beyond, some full-priced flagships. So accidental spills or getting caught in the rain? This phone should handle it like a champ. Color-wise, things are a bit more conservative. Lunar gray and midnight black. They look professional, sleek, absolutely, but if you're craving a vibrant pop of color, you might be a tad disappointed. Still, for a phone aiming for that judicious compromise vibe, the design largely hits the mark. Well-built, comfortable, with just enough quirkiness to stand out. If there's one area where Honor consistently knocks it out of the park, it's their displays. And the Honor 400 Pro? Oh yes, it continues that tradition. We're graced with a 6.7-inch OLED panel. It's not just any OLED. It's a quad-curved beauty with a crisp 2800 by 1280 resolution. That's a 1.5K sharpness that looks fantastic. And of course, a silky smooth 120 Hz peak refresh rate. Now you might notice it's fractionally smaller than last year's screen, but honestly you'd need a microscope to tell the difference. What you will notice is the brightness. Peak brightness has been cranked up to an insane 5000 nits for HDR content. For everyday use, with auto brightness off, it sits around a very respectable 600 nits. While some competitors like the Pixel 9 might get brighter in manual mode, 5000 nits for HDR is seriously impressive for making those movies and shows pop. Color accuracy is superb, especially if you switch from the default vivid mode, which is a bit punchy for my taste, to the normal setting. Then, everything just looks incredibly natural and true to life. One feature I really appreciate, and something your eyes will thank you for, is the 3840Hz PWM dimming. This is carried over from the 200 Pro, and it's brilliant. Essentially, it drastically reduces screen flicker at lower brightness levels, which can be a major cause of eye strain for many people. It's something that bigger players often overlook, so props to Honor here. The display does curve away at the edges. It's an aesthetic choice, and thankfully, I didn't experience any accidental touches or annoying glare. What might be slightly more divisive is the longer display notch up front. It houses depth sensing capabilities, but it does eat into your screen real estate a little. If you're a stickler for uninterrupted full-screen video, it might bother you, but for most, it's a minor trade-off for a truly brilliant viewing experience. Okay, let's talk horsepower. What's beating under the hood of the Honor 400 Pro? We're looking at the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset. Yes, the full-fat Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. This is a step up from the Snapdragon 8's Gen 3 feat found in some other almost flagships, which, despite the name, was a bit less capable graphically than the true Gen 2. So, what does this mean for you? It means the Honor 400 Pro performs right alongside the 2024 flagship crowd. For a phone at this price point, that's fantastic news. It comfortably outpaces devices like the entire Pixel 9 range in raw power. This is the same chip you'd find in something like the excellent OnePlus 13R, so it's in good company. Paired with a hefty 12GB of RAM and a very generous 512GB of internal storage, daily tasks are, as you'd expect, incredibly smooth. Apps open in a flash, multitasking is a breeze, and the whole experience just feels responsive and fluid. But what about gaming? Can it handle the demanding titles? Absolutely. Games like Genshin Impact run smoothly on high settings, and graphically intensive racers like Grid Legends just fly. You're getting a top-tier gaming experience here. Now, is it the absolute king of the performance charts in its price bracket? Not quite. Phones like the Nubia Z70 Ultra or the Poco F7 Ultra, often running slightly souped-up elite versions of Snapdragon chips, can sometimes edge it out for a similar or even lower price. But let's be clear, the Honor 400 Pro is an incredibly capable performer, and for 99% of users, the power on tap here is more than enough for anything you can throw at it. This is where things get really interesting. Honor has seriously ramped up its camera game with the 400 series, and the Pro model is leading the charge. The headline act? A brand new 200 megapixels AI main camera. This beast packs a large over 1.4-inch sensor, a bright f/1.9 aperture, and optical image stabilization. In good lighting, and even in trickier conditions, this main sensor captures sharp, contrasty, and detailed shots. Honor gives you 3 looks to choose from: natural, a more punched-up social media-ready style, or even an artful film camera aesthetic. It's versatile. While the results from this sensor on a 700-pound phone face stiffer competition than on its cheaper 400-pound sibling, which shares the same main sensor, they are still very, very good. But the Pro doesn't stop there. Unlike the standard Honor 400, you get a dedicated 50 megapixels telephoto camera with a proper 3x optical zoom, also aided by OIS. This uses a Sony IMX856 sensor and grabs lovely sharp shots at its native 3x. It even produces usable images at 6x or even 10x. One thing to note, there can be a slight, sometimes jarring, shift in color tone when moving from the main sensor's 2x digital crop to the 3x optical telephoto. The telephoto tends to produce more vivid, almost exaggerated colors. It's not a deal breaker, but it lacks that seamless transition you see on top-tier camera systems. Then there's the AI zoom enhancement. Push beyond 30x, and the phone offers AI assistance. Give it a minute to process, and you can get a significantly clearer shot. The results vary. It's not always perfect, especially with faces or fine details at extreme ranges like 50x. But for the right subject, it can genuinely turn a noisy mess into something surprisingly good. The 12 megapixels ultra-wide is the most modest of the trio. It's perfectly viable, but you will notice a drop in detail and contrast compared to the other two. And what about that headline AI feature, image to video? This Google AI-driven tool can take any still photo and animate it into a 5-second mini video. The example of the chicken and cat is wild. It can add elements that weren't even in the original shot. It's undeniably cool, maybe a little creepy, and a fantastic tech demo. Practical everyday use? I'm still figuring that one out, but it's a fun party trick for sure. Up front, a 50MP selfie camera, aided by a depth sensor, delivers decent selfies with nicely blurred backgrounds for portrait shots. And for video, you're getting up to 4K at 60 FPS, a step up from the non-pro model. Overall, a very strong and versatile camera system, with some seriously impressive AI chops, even if some features feel a bit gimmicky right now. Powering the Honor 400 Pro is Magic OS 9.0, which is Honor's custom skin built on top of Android 15. Now, let's be frank, Honor's UI is a bit of a mixed bag and often a point of contention. There's still a fair bit of bloatware, pre-installed apps like Booking.com, Temu, and RealShort, plus duplicate Honor apps for things like email. It can feel a bit cluttered out of the box. And then there's the elephant in the room, the heavy iOS inspiration. From the split notification pane to the settings menu layout, and even the lack of an app tray by default, it often feels like Honor is channeling Apple more than Google. You even get Magic Capsule, Honor's take on Apple's Dynamic Island, offering little widget-like bubbles around the selfie notch for media controls or timers. To be fair, it is useful, and many Android makers are doing similar things. Despite these quirks, Magic OS is undeniably fast and very functional. Features like Magic Portal, allowing you to easily drag text and images between apps, are genuinely useful for power users. And the big news here is Honor's software support promise, a commendable 6 years of both OS updates and security patches. That's right up there with the best in the business, only really beaten by Google and Samsung's 7-year promises. Plus, Honor has committed to an Android 16 update before the end of 2025, which is impressive foresight. Keeping this powerhouse running is a hefty 5,300 mAh silicon carbon battery. That's comfortably larger than the 5,000 mAh average we see in many phones. While it might not reach the dizzying 6,000 mAh heights of a couple of its competitors, it's more than enough for serious usage. In real-world terms, you can easily get through a full day of heavy use with charge to spare. On a moderate day, with around 4 hours of screen-on time, you could be looking at over 60% left in the tank. For average users, 2 full days on a single charge is definitely achievable. When it comes to juicing it back up, Honor isn't messing around. There's 100W wired charging support, which Honor claims can get you from empty to 51% in just 15 minutes. That's incredibly fast. There's also 50W wireless charging support. The catch? Like many manufacturers these days, Honor doesn't include a charger in the box. So to hit those top speeds, you'll need to invest in one of Honor's own supercharged wired or wireless chargers. What do you think about the Honor 400 Pro? Does its blend of features and price hit the sweet spot for you? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you make of Honor's latest contender. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.